So let's look at domain names. Well, if you imagine the World Wide Web like a giant interconnected network of computer highways, the domain name is like your website's address. The best way to kind of visualize this is if you imagine all these kind of interconnected pathways are like a road that you see on a map. Well, your domain name is like your address for your house. So just like we have a postcode or a house number that indicates where we live, on the internet we use a series of numbers that indicate where your website is located. Now, we call this an IP address. Now, an IP address will look very similar to this. So as you can see, it's a kind of group of jumbled up numbers, and for computers, this is the best way to identify each other. However, for humans, we're kind of structured a little bit differently. So to resolve this issue, we came up with a domain name. Could you imagine, every time you wanted to share a cute picture of, say, a dog or something like that on Instagram, you had to type in all these random numbers, and then you could then upload your image. So developers came up with a very good solution to help us remember things better, and that was through using a domain name. So a domain name has three parts, generally speaking. The first part tends to be either the www dot or HTTPS, depending on what comes first. Then the middle section, a bit like this example here, is your main domain name. Now, this can change, but every single domain name is unique. And then the last part of this is your domain name extension. So there are kind of three main types of domain name extensions. We have top-level domain name, which are things like .com or .org. We then have a country code top-level domain name. These are things like .co.uk or .au if you're in Australia. And then finally we have sponsored top-level domain names, and these are things like .gov. So that gives you a rough idea of what domain names are and how they're kind of structured.